actually very excited.
And so am I.
I got my friend here, Ingo Rademacher, and on State of Mind. And for anybody who doesn't know who we are, we're on General Hospital. He plays Jasper Jax. I play Sonny Corinthos. And what do you do for
Your number one rival. I always explain my character as Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. He's a corporate raider. He just buys corporations, breaks them up, and sells them. That's what.
I thought you were like a James Bond type, but that was maybe in the past.
Jackson's way richer than you are. That's you're just some local mobster, and Jackson's an international businessman.
Right. And I'm a coffee reporter, so
Yeah.
who has
cocaine under the coffee. We all
I have
know
people
that.
killed every so often.
All the time.
Now, before we get into the deep stuff, I do want to say that when I started General Hospital, I was on maybe a couple years, and I remember Sonny and Brenda were huge, and it was like Sonny Brenda,
Yeah.
and they brought in this guy with blonde hair, these pretty blue eyes, and this beautiful hair, and to top it off, he was like 6'2". And I was like, oh, that's all right. I'll kick his butt. And a testament to Ingo, his skill as an actor, his charm. It was truly 50-50. People wanted Sonny and Brenda. People wanted Jax and Brenda. And it was I will say this, for me, it was the best triangle I've ever been involved in, and just the best triangle I've ever seen. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, I think it was, because I was such a cocky bastard back then, I didn't think it was a hard thing to pull off, But when I look back on it, coming in the show with, the Brenda, Sonny, how tight that relationship was, and be able to come in and kind of break that up. Back in those days, I was like, yeah, of course she's gonna love the good guy better.
Right.
And that was the great thing, you love playing that character.
Yeah.
I love playing my character.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason that worked so well.
But the only thing is, Ingo used to want to always fight, and I'm like, listen, dude, I'm like 5'2", and you're like 6'2". It doesn't look good.
It doesn't matter because you saw Rocky. That's why they made 4 of those, right?
Yes.
Didn't he get beat every time? Rocky won. You won every single time.
That's true.
I think Jax and Sonny should have a boxing match eventually, and then Jax gets knocked out, and Sonny goes, "You don't know how to box, dude. You might know how to wrestle or karate kick,
Right?
You don't know how to box."
Now, another thing that we're similar at, but totally different. I got into mental health. That's been my goal and my voice for the last 30 years. And for me, it's a lot like, because I'm helping people, saving people sometimes. You're the same way, because as a lifeguard, it's got to be the similar feeling. You're saving lives, bro. You're the potential of saving lives, and you're helping people in there.
The physical and mental.
Yes.
Yes. You're doing it from a mental
Right.
perspective. I'm doing it from a physical, perspective. It's incredible. You have Baywatch. You have the boats out there.
Yeah.
You have the permanent lifeguards with the lifeguard trucks, and they're qualified, to do all kinds of things, from just rescuing, but also, if we have a cardiac arrest on the beach, we have the AEDs, so we can hook up and we can start somebody's heart again and things like that, which they had during that big lightning strike in Santa Monica where somebody flatlined, and they brought him back. So it's an incredible feeling to rescue somebody that's going under.
But now, do you? Because for me, if I could, I would quit acting and just do. Do you feel the same way with lifeguard or not?
We've talked about that before, haven't we?
But I don't know if we're similar there.
Look, I don't know. I enjoy acting. I'm not a method actor.
Yeah.
I kind of just, used what's on the page.
Yeah.
And Jax is an extension of me, except he's a lot richer. I wish I had his money. So that's it's a lot of fun to do that, but I needed something in my life that was a little bit more, that had a little bit more consequences to it, and I think that was one of the reasons I also wanted to become a lifeguard, is to just to have something in my life that has to add meaning to my life.
Yes, right. That's a beautiful thing. Now, because if you just, I find if you just act, I don't think it's quite enough, honestly. When I do the stuff with mental health, it just, like you said, it brings much more meaning, and you can balance the both. But if I could, I would just do this and not act, because acting can be a little hard sometimes, as you know. All right, let's get into. That was a nice little warm up to get into some anger, which is what on State of Mind we're going to talk about anger, and it could get a little scary, a little deep, which is fine because that's kind of what I like. What do you think causes anger?
That's a great question, and how we got here was I saw your state of mind with your son, Josh.
Yes.
And about that one particular thing that I heard was when you chased him into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And later on, we're going to bring my son, Peanut, in here as well, because we've had a very similar experience with that. I think anger is just maybe a little bit of unhappiness that, in my case, I don't think it's justified.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we also learned from our fathers, in a way. My dad had his little anger tantrums every now and then. It wasn't a lot, but I think growing up and seeing that, then you think it's okay to do that. And to me, it's a mental weakness when you get angry for no reason, really. And I know I've had it even before. Mm-hmm. Before I had kids, I would have my little anger tantrums just about something that wasn't right, you know?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just okay. But if I look at that guy now, I'd be like, oh, dude, what is wrong with you? Don't do that, you know?
Did your dad abuse you in any way? Like, did he hit you or with a belt or?
Maybe I got tapped once.
Yeah,
or something,
but
you know, but really no.
Good.
There was never that. I never was in fear of my dad, even though I saw his little, anger tantrums occasionally. They didn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Well. See, for me, anger comes in a lot of different forms. When I'm hungry, I'll kill you. You know what I mean?
It's called hangry.
Yes.
Being hangry.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, my wife has that.
Yeah, I want to kill some, So like, what I do is I eat, if I feel like I'm getting hungry, like I'm getting hungry right now.
Yeah.
I'll eat a little bit. Another thing that causes the anger for me is embarrassment. If I'm being yelled at by my wife in the car, and there's kids and people in the car, it brings up. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely, that's a good point.
Yes.
Because you're being attacked. You're an alpha male and you're being attacked.
Yes. But a lot of times it's not even attacked. But in my mind...
But you are. In your mind, you're being attacked. And I know exactly that feeling because I feel the same way. And it's very hard for us to then admit or apologize. And we have to learn to be able to do that. And I think that's one of the things that you and I have learned over the years. Is learning to... It's not an easy thing to admit that you have a problem with that. And to say, I apologize. I'm sorry for that. I mean, your case, it's different. In my case, I don't have an excuse. I don't think I have a mental illness.
Yeah.
So I really don't have an excuse for it. And also, when I do have my anger tantrums, I'm still not where I want to kill somebody. I never get to that level.
No?
I can turn around. No, I can turn around and laugh right afterwards, or not. Well, not. I mean, I'm in control.
Oh yeah, you're really good.
I'm in control of it, and I'm doing it on purpose.
You're really good. I remember
nice.
I told you, you're really good being able to say things without anger. Like it's like very. If I get a little angry, I get quiet, and then I get. You can say things. I've seen you. I won't say where. I won't get into that. But I've seen you say things, and I'm like, dang, how does he do that? That's interesting. Because you don't have that kind of rage that comes out from me. Now, I've worked on it,
Yeah.
so it's not quite there anymore. Oh, in the past it was horrible. You wanted to talk about detachment and all that. Let's talk about that. Baby crying.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts from one of the things that, you know, some people may not agree with this at all. And it's people that you know, physically beat their children and think it's okay to do that. And that's totally up to them. That's the way they're educated. I personally don't think it's the right way to go with children. And I did hit Peanut and Pohaku a couple of times, and I think that ended maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. That was the last time that happened, because I was like, I feel bad every time it happened. And it only happened a few times. And I think that's a major parent fail. I think it's because you don't want to put in the effort to sit down and have a conversation with your child. You want to just shut them up and be able to talk to your wife and not have them disturb you, because they came into your life and all of a sudden your life has just been uprooted and it's different, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know how to handle it because
Right.
it's the first time being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
We're all first time being a parent when we have our first kid. So we're learning as we go. But one of the most important things, I think, is that it's not the kid's fault. Mm-hmm. It is a parent fail. Mm-hmm. Every single time. Mm-hmm. Don't ever think it's too early to start having a real conversation with your kids. Kids can understand consequences at age 2.5, 3, I believe.
Yeah.
You can start having real conversations with them at that point, and you will have a much better relationship with your children. And I have proven that to myself. You got to do it yourself. Hey, people out there got to do it themselves. They got to do it, you know. And it's an effort. It's a constant effort. You get a lot of questions from kids constantly.
Yeah.
And they're boring questions a lot of the time because you know the answer to them, but it's the first time they're asking that question. It's, you know, the world is opening up.
Right.
So it's important not to push that to the side and actually listen to their questions and actually talk to them and engage. It's a very hard thing to do as a parent, and something that I think we all should always strive to be better at.
Yeah, you know, I learned from my childhood not to do what my dad did, right? As far as I have never laid a hand on my kids, and my girls were easy. 3 girls are just nothing. Joshua was and like, you know, in my book, I write that I chased him up the stairs and was going to break down the door or whatever. But you know what's funny, and I used to yell at him a lot. He never looked scared. He never looked scared. I was like, and so it wasn't working. And, you know, I think with my dad, I was so scared of him that I would do things, right? But Joshua would just go like this.
Yeah.
So,
and that's Pohaku. That's my youngest.
Yeah.
He couldn't give a shit.
No, and I was like, so what happens is you tend to want to get more angry, but it doesn't work. So I remember sitting in the car with him, and I tried a whole different tactic, and I just looked at him, and I said, listen, why don't we just talk? And he kind of looked at me, and we had an incredible conversation at a bowling alley. And from then on, it was so different and much better. Because now we're like respect.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't have to yell at him. I can just, like you said, I can just talk to him.
Yeah.
So it's very important, but at least I learned not to do what my dad did, and that's actually a positive. Maybe, you know, I don't know. I will say this. I had it in me to do what my dad did, but I self-analyze always, and I knew that I wasn't going to, but it's almost like the rage sometimes would overpower the thinking.
Right.
And it was like, but I never did. Thank God. Never did.
Yeah, so, you know, you were asking about detachment parenting. There's some parents, you know, from a very young age, let the kids just cry it out in their room, you know. That's not the old way of doing it. Like if we were in a village situation before, you know, we became a civilized society, we would just pick up the child when it's crying.
Right.
My mother-in-law, years ago when Peanut was a baby, you know, we would pick him up when he cried, and she said, "The baby's manipulating you." And we're like, "What? The baby's 8.5 months old. The baby is not capable of manipulation. The baby is trying to communicate by crying that something is wrong."
Right.
You pick him up, and I think if you do that, you see the confidence that builds in a kid. When you go to a kid, if they fall down when they're older and they scratch their knee, you don't go over there in a panic and go, "Oh my God, what happened?"
Right.
You show that panic, kid's gonna look at you and just cry. "What happened to him? Am I supposed to cry?"
Yeah.
But if you just go, "Hey, let's have a look. You okay? Oh, that's not too bad. That's just a scratch." Or, "You know what? Whoa, we got a bit of a cut there. We're gonna have to get some stitches, but it's fine," right? Then they go, "Oh, okay, no problem." Right back to being confident and getting out there. And my kids both have that confidence, and that came from nurturing them when they were babies, when they were kids. We still to this day co-sleep. That's just the way we've always done it. The baby used to sleep between us on the little change pad, which is about that much higher, just to kind of for safety for us, and on a big king size bed. That's how he grew up. And now Peanut's 12, Pohaku's 8. We have a king and a queen next to each other in the room. It's one huge bed, and it's me, Peanut on the king, and then Haku and my wife. And because Pohaku still really needs his mom. He couldn't really care about cuddling with Dad. And Peanut loves sleeping with me. He hasn't wanted to leave yet. He has his own room. He can go sleep there if he wanted to, but not yet. So, and I think that comes when they become, you know, more of a man, maybe at 14, 15, 16, where they're like, "You know what? I'm getting ready now to get out of this house and, you know, spread my wings and become a man and not need my parents anymore." But right now, we're not forcing them to do that. They have the choice to do that, and I think that makes for very confident.
Well, I was the one, we're very similar here, but I was the one that said, "No, I don't want the babies on the bed and this and this and that." And Paul's like, "It's better, it's better."
I did it for 2 years with Peanut as well. We talked about that.
Yeah.
We put him in his own room, and then that we brought him back.
Well, what happened with me is we would literally get in arguments.
Yeah, of course.
Like I was pissed off.
Yeah.
And one night, I think it was Kaylee. He was on the crib in the other room, and she's crying, dude. And I'm like, "Don't go. Don't go get her. Don't go get her." And Paul's like, "Honey, she's really crying." I said, "Don't go get her. Honey. Boom. She fell off the crib. And that just, that was it. Terrible.
Yeah, terrible, yeah.
Terrible.
When you're close to your kids, when they're having a nightmare or not feeling well, you put one hand on them. They're right there. Everyone goes back to sleep. It's so much easier having your kids co-sleep in your bed than it is having them in another room. The whole it's that whole "Oh, but where do you have sex?"
Right.
You know, you always get that question. Where do you have sex? Well, there are other rooms in the house. The kids go. They have no idea, you know. And
if I could talk about something right now.
I mean, look, that's an important question. People always ask.
No, I know. But there's a subject that there's only one. Look, I'm an open book, man.
Hey, we're married. We don't have sex anymore.
I'm an open book, and I've talked about everything.
Of course, your book's amazing.
It's you know, but there's one thing that I haven't talked about, and right now would be the greatest time, but it would the can of worms would just fly out of the.
Well, I think that's one of our biggest issues. I think being men, you don't want to have kids in the bed because it ruins your sex life. That's what you think anyway, right? I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things. Your biggest argument was probably that. With your wife.
With Paula was like, "What's
Mine
up?"
was too, but
because each kid slept in the bed, so for 20 years.
By the time the kids have left, you don't even want to have sex anymore. You're so old. It's not about us anymore. That's the thing. It's not about us. It's about making an amazing next generation.
I get it.
Right?
I've learned.
Yeah.
All right, Peanut, get over here.
Thanks for coming, buddy.
So what I want to say is to my friend Peanut here, your dad, I can only judge from Instagram. Seems like the greatest dad in the world. I mean, just fun, loves you guys tons, and that's a beautiful thing. And but was there ever a time where you felt he needed to change something?
Well, it's probably when he got angry at me.
Like when was he angry?
Well, usually because I wouldn't shut up when I was at sleep. You know how we just had these huge long conversations in the bedroom. We'd just be talking about, like, that's why I like sleeping with my brother and mom and dad, because we lie down and we just talk about
Oh,
stuff
that's beautiful.
in the room. Like, we just random stuff.
So you,
But I think that when I would tell them to go to bed and be quiet, and mom and dad were watching a movie and wanted some alone time, and they just wouldn't stop. You'd go in there 5 minutes later, guys, be quiet, guys, be quiet. And then my wife would also say, hey, you're gonna get the Hulk. She used to scare him with that, which wasn't a good thing, by the way. We talked about that as well. And then, the Hulk came out, and then it was quiet after that. But it took 5 or 6 times of me coming in there being interrupted to tell you guys.
Maybe 3. I don't
3 or 4 times.
know.
And then the Hulk would come in and then just, rah, quiet, shut up. And it maybe, one time there was a tap on the butt involved with one or two of them. And that never made me feel good, ever. I think that was horrible. Immediately feel really bad.
yeah.
So I think that was. Then there was the one time where I chased you also into your room.
Okay,
Right?
you chased me into it was the bathroom. You chased me into the bathroom. That was the worst time. And then when I opened the door, you grabbed me and you pinned me against the wall and you were just yelling at me the entire time.
Very similar to
That's
your
similar to my
situation with Josh.
Oh, I was.
And you were probably what, 8 maybe at the time?
I don't remember. Maybe
That's
7
probably.
or 8.
Yeah.
That's his Joshua too. I had him. Oh man. I
And
was,
to physically scare him like that, a little child,
that's not good.
it's just the dumbest thing that you can do. And not just that, but it's damaging, as we were talking about.
Yeah.
And that's when my wife actually pulled me aside and said, you need to change. You have a problem.
Wow.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? You can't immediately just turn to, but I thought about it more. And now when they talk at night in bed, I love listening to their conversation. I mean, every now and then I'll throw a, guys, can you shut up?
Yeah.
That's about as angry as I get now.
But that's beautiful. When he said he loved talking on the bed, that's a beautiful. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, we have great, conversations at night. That's when the phones all get put away, the video games get put away, school gets put away, and you can have a conversation. But him and his brother, when they go to bed a little bit before us, which doesn't happen that often, you guys talk. We don't even know what they talk about. It's one of those beautiful things that we don't get to be there for that. They have their own life and their own thoughts.
Yeah.
We don't even know what they're talking about. Sometimes we don't even understand what they're talking about.
Wow.
Which is fine.
That's amazing.
Do
you feel you have anger?
Well, usually after my dad gets angry at me, I go in my room and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna freaking kill him.
See? Yeah. That's what happens that's why I said to Ingo, when my dad would do that to me, that stuff builds up, man.
So you think it's because it's unfair? Sometimes I was doing it because it was unfair, and came as a shock because you guys were just talking, right?
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Beautiful, man. Cry,
No,
man.
it's okay. This is the reason.
That's
We know
amazing.
we're doing this today to hopefully stop other dads
Yeah.
from doing this, to their kids. So I'm
That's-
so thankful that you're, big and mature guy with huge muscles.
Is this the dude that has the muscle?
And we can talk.
No, they both. How can?
Yeah, they both.
If he was as big as me, he'd be like.
Look at his veins. I'm really thankful that you're here and that we're able to talk about this.
It's fantastic.
And I'm stoked that Maurice is asking you questions because we've both had, similar experiences with how wrong it is to do that.
So you know what happened with me? Is because I was taught not to cry, I would hold it in, that when I finally had a nervous breakdown, all I did was cry. Boom!
Yeah.
People would come in to see me.
Same thing with me.
Oh yeah, because you're holding it in, right?
It usually happens with my friends because, like, sometimes they're just so annoying and like, just hold it in.
Boom.
Just like freaking can't get them off. Mountain or something.
But you know what? You keep crying. That your tears are your strength. Every time you cry, you get tears. That's strength.
It's a relief.
Yeah. So
It's a
keep
release.
crying, man. Don't hold that back, because you don't want to end up where I ended up. Holding it up, because my dad would be, he was macho.
How do you think that is now over the last 3
Yeah,
years?
yeah,
How
that's a good
it has
question.
changed our relationship
Yeah.
so much, right? I mean, same with your relationship
Same
with
with it.
Josh.
Yeah.
Now you guys are so close when we see you together, and you and I over the last, say 2-3 years. What do you think what do you think it's done since I don't get that mad at you guys anymore?
It's been way better. I think I can actually talk to you now. Most of it is like, I feel like I'm not fighting you constantly. Like, we're actually communicating. It's not just all anger.
Right.
That's beautiful.
That's the best. That's the best part of it. But now having that relationship with both my boys, to be able to talk about things, and sometimes I'm firm with you guys still, because it's still got to be dad.
No,
and
no,
I also
of
want
course.
to be, a friend as well. But it's like, hey, you know what? You got to get on the guitar. You got to play for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't push him super hard yet. I don't think that you should push kids super hard until
No.
they really want to be pushed.
Yeah.
And I think until he gets a little bit older, when he really gets into his teens, and you're close to becoming a man, then it's time to really put in the work. Mo, thanks for having us on the show.
Hey, this is fantastic, man. It was like, it just went like that.
Get in here, Jim.
He doesn't want to do.
Oh, we got the Give a wave. Thanks for watching.